The Twilight Zone is back, and so is Ruta Lee. She's a friend of Lifestyle Magazine. She even opened up her home to let us film. Ruta, it's good to have you back.
Well, it's good to be home, my darlings. Thank you so much.
Over 2,000 credits. Does anybody else in Hollywood work? Is it just you?
God bless you for saying that. But you know, now I'm an older lady.
No.
And the roles are simply not there the way they
right?
once used to be.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm going to start picketing the studios.
Ruta, I've heard that one of your first jobs in Hollywood was at Grauman's movie theater selling candy.
Yeah,
There's got to be a story there.
Oh, it's a wonderful story. I was hired as an usherette. And I stood at the top of the aisle. Folks, that was when you had people seat you in your seats, you know. Now, who cares?
Yeah.
Different movie
Anyway,
experience.
I would stand at the top of the aisle in my little uniform with my little flashlight, watching the movie queens.
Yes.
Betty Grable.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everybody beautiful. Mitzi Gaynor, who they all became my friends. And I would just say, oh, Lord, please let me someday, let me do that. Let me do that, God. Please help me. I got promoted to Candy Girl. Now, math was never my long suit, still isn't. But I could deal with it because everything was 10 cents, 15 cents, 25 cents. I could deal with it. Then one night, the cashier got sick in the booth, and I got promoted to cashier. And I said, I can't do this. He said, no, you just push $1.98 2 times, and they give you $5, and the change will come out. Long story short, we were $40 short that night.
No.
And I got fired.
Oh, no.
And I said, one of these days, my hand and footprints are going to be here at Garmin Chinese, and you'll be sorry because I didn't steal the money.
Yeah.
When I got my star, thank you, Lord, on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, it's right in front of the box office.
That's some justice right there.
That is justice.
Is that the dear Lord working in mysterious ways?
That's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. It's still my favorite role that you've played is a host of Lifestyle Magazine. And
I have to tell you, it was one of my favorite roles, too,
wonderful.
because I love people. And if they're celebrated people, to find out that they are lovely human beings who look to the Lord for help in their lives and share that with other people, hey, that's a blessing in itself.
It is a blessing. You interviewed your dear friend Debbie Reynolds in your home. And such a beautiful lady. And of course, the two of you have worked on Thalians, the foundation that you founded.
For 60 years.
Oh, wonderful.
And it's so wonderful because Debbie got involved with mental health for children. I came in about 5 years later. And then she decided that I should be president and she would be chairman of the board. These are roles we exchanged for the next 40 years. And Debbie, of course, was not just my sister in charity, but she became like my sister in the flesh as well, because she was so good and so dear and so charitable.
Yes.
And that's the point that I don't think our young people today are wrapped up in. I don't think that they give back to God or his children on earth their blessings, you know. And that was the one thing that Debbie always said to me. She said, Ruta, you can ask for anything in this world from anybody, providing it isn't for yourself.
Yes.
That's the truth.
That's the truth. There's so much
the
joy
credo.
in giving back. I have to ask, how did you come up with the name Thalians?
Thalia is one of the muses, one of the Greek goddesses, and she took care of the stray lambs. So how appropriate for us who got involved in shining a Hollywood spotlight on the mental illness, that black pit that you're in when you're mentally ill, and taking the stray lamb and bringing it out and hopefully into a cure. And now we have switched our focus, dear people. We used to be from pediatric through geriatric care at our clinic at the Cedars-Sinai Hospital, first building to go in. Now we're at UCLA with Operation Mend, and we discovered that those poor young people, men and women, who are willing to put their lives on the line every day for our country,
Yes.
were coming home and falling through the cracks.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are.
So Operation Men takes care of the broken bodies and
Wonderful.
heads and arms and legs, and we take care of the broken spirit and soul.
What a wonderful ministry you have with that.
I think so.
Yeah, it is. I got to tell you a story though.
Okay.
Debbie Reynolds, when my dad was a young man, he was a great fan, and he asked for a picture of her, and she sent a signed picture. I'm sure someone in her office did that. And so after he got married to my mom, he unwisely put it on the bathroom mirror, and she made him throw it away. And so when I met Debbie at a Thalians event, I told her the story, and so she sent a new picture, not in the swimsuit now, but a headshot.
Yeah.
And I gave it to Dad. It was signed to him, and I asked Mom, "Do you mind?" She said, "No, she can have him now." She wants him. But she was so kind and so gracious to do that for us.
I think she probably signed all her own.
Yeah, is that right?
Yeah, I think even in the good old days.
In the good old days, she did as well.
She was always one of those people that was a giver and shared everything she ever had.
How wonderful to be able to work with someone close like that, a close friend, and doing the work that you have with the charity.
Yes, and I just feel that volunteerism is something that kind of is sort of sloughed over, and I think it is so important to each and every one of our lives. And whether you read for the blind, or whether you bring food to somebody who can't get out of the house, or you drive someone to a dental appointment, or you give money if you have it, it's all very important. And I think that all of us who do that are blessed in many, many
Absolutely
ways.
are.
Absolutely.
This is another lady who volunteers. She's volunteering right now. She's a physician. She doesn't get paid to be a co-host here. She gives back as well, and this in so many other ways.
It does something good for you as well as for the other people that you're doing it
It does.
for. It's
We need
great.
to take a break. You know all about that.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Mental health has been such an important cause in your life, but right now it's taken a much more personal turn. And we'll be talking about that when we come back. Welcome back. We're talking with actress Ruta Lee. Ruta, I have my 20-year anniversary coming up next month, but I understand that you've been married for 45 years, is that right?
You're a bride.
I feel so accomplished that it's almost 20 years.
Well, the nice part is that we met on a plane going to your hometown of Dallas, where I was appearing, and we have been together and for all these years without a crossword between us, which I think is quite remarkable. And life has changed a great deal for me now, because my darling Webb, who has always been the rock,
Yes.
the one that kept the ship steady, had a stroke.
No.
And I think that perhaps he was already going into a light version of dementia
Really?
that I did not recognize.
Is that right?
And that's what I sort of want to talk to you about.
Yeah.
And then he had a stroke, which really exacerbated the condition.
When was that?
He had a couple of bleeders 2 Christmases ago.
Okay.
All right.
And
Almost a year and a half.
yes. And now, of course, life is entirely different because he looks great.
Yeah.
He is great, but can't remember diddly squat.
Oh, bless his heart.
And I'm sure that a lot of your audience, our listeners and viewers today, are going through some of the same stuff that I'm going through.
Absolutely.
And I love it when somebody shares with me and says, oh, I had the same thing with my husband, and let me tell you about this, and this happened there. It somehow relieves you to know that you're not the only one that's out there trying to control things.
Yeah. You mentioned that he had some symptoms earlier on. What were those?
He has always had a lousy sense of direction, considering that he's a minuscule Blackfoot who should be able to go that way is north. Could never, ever find anything, God bless him. But he
And if
got...
it's like most men, he wouldn't ask for directions.
That's right.
Right? Okay, yeah. All right.
No
so he's a guy.
directions.
He's
But
a
I
guy.
found a note on the kitchen table one Sunday saying, I've gone to Palm Springs because I think that's where I left my driver's license or whatever it was he was looking for. And I'll call you when I get there. And then 4 hours went by, no call. 5 hours went by, no call. Now I start calling the highway patrol. I'm calling police stations everywhere. I'm calling hospitals, looking into, has there been an accident? Has anything happened? I've got all my friends trying to figure out what's going on. He finally turned up in our house in Palm Springs. And he said, I got lost. I must have made a wrong turn and I got lost. Now, mind you, he'd been driving that for 30 years. But that should have been a signal to me that something was very wrong. But you tend to go, oh, he still has this great sense of humor. He laughs about things, blah, blah, blah. He's okay. And then when the stroke came along, and I recognized it was a stroke because he was suddenly speaking a language from some other planet.
I see. More Jewish,
and I was putting a glass in front of him of something, and he kept reaching over there for it.
Right.
And I said, whoops.
So you knew right away.
So I immediately called 911, but I think enough time had gone by where they were not able to give that before 4-hour shot, whatever it's called, doctor, you'll know, I don't.
TPA,
but he came out of that okay. Had a hard time getting the language going, but eventually it came around, but he still can't really remember anything. Way back he can remember, current he can't. And I frankly don't know the difference between, and maybe you can explain for everybody, the difference between dementia and Alzheimer's.
Well, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. So there are a couple different forms of dementia that you can get where you lose the ability to think clearly and to remember things, and Alzheimer's is just a specific form of dementia. So you suspect that maybe some of that was going on ahead of time?
I suspect.
When a person has a stroke, though, very often there's a personality change associated with that. Have you noticed that with Webb?
I noticed that in the last few months, a tremendous change, because he's always been very calm, very placid, very easygoing, and has always said, whatever you want to do, let's do, you know. When he's not on his medication, and it's not balanced exactly right, he becomes a person that I don't know, and what's more, I don't want to know. An awful person that I would say is the devil incarnate. And then when he's back on his medication,
he's the old Webb.
He's at least a calm Webb.
How has that been for you, being a caregiver for him?
It has been such a test of patience, which is unfortunately a blessing God did not give me. That's one virtue I'm truly lacking is patience. I do everything fast and furiously, and I want everything else to go that way. Come on, let's get it done, you know.
And you can't do that with
And I can't do that, and I can't lose patience with him. And so I pray a lot. I bite my tongue and say, help me, God, help me. You put me in this situation, now help me. Help me to understand, help me to guide, help me to lead. Please help me.
I know the challenges are great, but let me just applaud you.
Thank you.
For doing this. You know, he would do it for you if the roles were reversed, I believe. But from listening to him talk about you, he absolutely adores you.
Well, you know,
so
Michael,
I believe he would.
I want so to share this with our loving audience, because there are ladies or gentlemen out there who are going through what I'm going through.
Absolutely.
And let's kind of touch minds and words and heart.
Encourage one another.
It's encouraging.
We got to take a break, but Webb's going to join us when we come back.
Good.
So we will be right back right after this. We're back with Ruta Lee and her husband, Webb Lowe. Webb, your life has changed a lot lately, hasn't it? How has this stroke impacted you?
Well, she's always on the move, and she's always watching who's doing what and how they do it and how to do it better,
yes, that's
etc.
right. She's taking care of you, isn't she?
That
Making
means
sure.
I'm watching him.
Yeah, that's right.
Is what he's saying
Yeah.
politely.
She's keeping watch over you. But that's kind of a reversal of roles for you, because you've always been the rock for her and kind of taken care of her, I think. It's been my observation.
Uh-huh.
It's got to be a little bit jolting for you to have this happen for you now, her taking that role.
Well, I really adjust pretty easily, even if it's not exactly what I want it when I want it.
Right.
You know, just keep on the course.
Go with the flow.
Good for
There you
you.
go.
That's a good attitude.
How has this impacted your marriage and how you interact?
I'll be careful.
The wit's still there.
It has the impact,
That wink.
I think, is tough on Webb because of my lack of patience. And what happens, and I think everybody who is going through this will understand, that things start boiling in you and anger starts to come up. And anger is such an ugly, awful thing to live with. And it's debilitating, you know. And so I have to control that anger. And poor Webb is always very good about saying thank you, thank you,
Isn't that nice?
thank you.
That's wonderful.
He has always been that way.
Consummate gentleman.
The consummate gentleman and so appreciative of anything good that comes his way. So somehow he manages to look past my impatience and my
Yeah.
before I pull it back down. And so I thank you, my darling. Thank you for being the kind of good guy you are.
Well, thank you for pulling me back down to reality.
Has this just impacted your daily routine?
Oh, yes, of course. Of course, it's altogether different because of the struggles with appointments with,
Yes.
with
Yes.
doctors, with therapists, with trying to figure out what and where to do. I tried something new, hyperbaric
Yes.
treatment.
Yes.
And Webb loathed it the first time. And I think one of our first fights ever was about this.
Yeah.
And I forced him to go back, and we fought all the way
Yeah.
to the chamber the second time. And the second time, he sat back and gave me a thumbs up that it was okay. Now, I don't know if he's going to feel that way about the third time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he
But you
adjusted.
know, you've got to try everything
Absolutely.
that God puts in the path. And if you don't try it, then you feel guilty.
And sometimes that can be beneficial.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Well, Webb, I applaud you for making the adjustments. It's not easy. Especially you've been a strong, independent man, a businessman, and so now to have to make these accommodations, it's not an easy thing to go through. But
I hadn't noticed
You
that.
haven't noticed? Consider that he was executive VP of McDonald's.
yes,
Yes.
yes, right.
Running a huge corporation, and
And now to this.
and then
Bless
you know
your heart.
Bonanza,
Yeah.
and now to be dependent
Yeah.
on help. And thank God we have a wonderful caregiver
Wonderful.
that makes life a little easier.
Well, Ruta and Webb, thank you for sharing your story with us. We appreciate
Yes.
it. And we'll be back with a final word right after this.